Hello, friends and partners. I want to say once again that it's a privilege to share in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Today, I'm going to be talking about something called the end time crisis. I'm actually going to be describing some events that Daniel talked about in Daniel chapter 12. We're going to see and intercede and read a conversation between him and a man clothed in linen, basically an angelical host. Some say this was Jesus before, he was born in the earth. But anyway, he's speaking to this person, this entity, and they're giving him a description. And here in verse 6, he begins to talk about the wonders and things that's going to happen during this end time crisis. He says, "And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? How long shall it be to the end of the crisis, the end of the age before the returning of the true Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth, to the earth?" And then he says, "And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end." Now, end time events here that God is speaking to Daniel in his time period, in his day, were sealed up. They were to be revealed. We see the revelation of these things as they appear, the revelation of Jesus Christ. Now, here is the picture I want you to see when he is accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. A couple references I want to make. One is Matthew 24, also Luke 21, Mark 13. But Jesus said he come not to bring peace, but a sword. He said he had set at variance. And he goes down the list of the different things that are going to happen in families, and how that there's going to be a struggle and division among families, among church, among political groups. And he describes some of these as wars of kingdom against kingdom, etc. Family against family. All these different things are happening because the flesh and the spirit are at war, and the people that doesn't keep the flesh under subjection, a lot of times sinners, some Christians do not as well, and some that profess Christ don't as well. But what happens, we've got this culture created, and it's headed for the crisis. We are headed for that time of troubles, was not since the beginning of the world, and never shall be. Now, if we look back, I want to look back to verse 4. And he says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." This increase in knowledge, of course, we see today as things through the internet, through technology, different things like that. We see it's increasing and continuing to increase. You would think with the more technology, the less struggle and conflict there'd be more peace. But in contradiction to this, of what you would think would build what we would consider, I would like to call this a utopian society, you'd think it'd be more peace with the better communication, the closer people supposed to be. But instead, man's attempt to play God is backfiring on him, and we're headed for crisis. Now, here's the thing. Here's what you need to be. The Bible says to watch ye therefore and pray. Well, as we're watching and praying that we not enter into this temptation, we're praying that this crisis doesn't overcome us unawares. Now, the Bible says that in a time you think not, Christ comes. Here's the thing. A lot of people have stopped looking. A lot of people choose not to see the crisis that's ahead. They choose to stick their head in the sand, be blind to the things of God. But here's the thing. It's time and high time that we wake up to the things of God. Begin to allow God to unseal and reveal each of these things to us in prophecy, and prepare for the crisis that's ahead. And I know many believe, and I believe as well, in a rapture, but we also know that Jesus talked about birth pains and things that was going to happen, and we don't know how bad that it's going to get until it comes down to the time when the Antichrist comes to power and he comes to make the covenant, what he's going to do is he's going to put a division amongst the Jewish people, a division amongst the Christians and the rest of the world, and try to unite his one world government, his one world religion. And we know that he's working to come through what we know today as Islam, or the religion that Muhammad founded. Now here's the thing. We are to fear not. And I know in many of the foreign countries and many of our brothers and sisters in other places are suffering persecutions as even to losing their heads. But here's the thing. What in this world would you give in exchange for your soul? No matter the division, no matter if it's husband against wife, daughter against daughter-in-law, no matter if it's Democrat against Republican, no matter if it's communism versus socialism versus democracy, no matter what the conflict right now, if it's Baptist versus Pentecostal versus holiness versus Judaism, whatever the conflict is, it's time that we set aside our differences, look through and return to the basics and the basics of the cross, and learn to live in the center of God's will, that we can be pleasing unto the Lord. To please God, you're to praise Christ daily. Learn to be patient with those that are among you, and also learn to know God's voice 100%. For His voice, and we know His voice, He will not lead us astray. Now, my time has come and gone. As this end time crisis is upon us, let's prepare in prayer that we may stand before the judgment seat of Christ, and He may present us as a church without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. And He can do so only He can with His precious blood. In Jesus' mighty name.